Today, we're soaking beans. We're going to make Three Sisters soup or stew, depending on how thick it is, I guess. So, get ready. Beans, the wonderful food. Let's get going. Hello again from the cabin kitchen. So the pot is on the stove. Here are some of the seasoning we're going to be using today. And of course our staple. And if you want to guess what it is we're making, I'll bring you over to the cutting board. Well, here we go. So we've got a butternut squash, acorn squash, some corn. Have you guessed it yet? So here's the third item. We've soaked some beans. I chose black beans this morning, but you can put any kind of bean. So we're making Three Sisters of the Iroquois soup. So I've got some tomatoes here. I've already gone ahead and diced up the vegetables, not to take up too much of your time, and let's get cooking. So here I go. The oil is on. I'm going to start with the herb and garlic. That's about half a tablespoon, and then I'll add the 3 onion. Now the reason I'm using these two, what I call my kitchen staples, is I'm not going to cut up any onions or garlic because Epicure already did it for me. So I like to put them in first. The aroma is to die for. Always love cumin. Now you don't need much of this delicious spice to get some flavor, so I'm only using 1 teaspoon of the cumin. Rosemary, always so good. Again, another teaspoon of the rosemary. Keep your seasonings moving. Oregano, because we have tomato, and what goes best with tomato? Yep, oregano. And thyme is always good with mushrooms, tomatoes, any squash. I'm sorry if I'm fogging up. So we're going to put 1 teaspoon of thyme, that nice earthy flavor that we all love in the fall. And we're probably going to add another teaspoon of that shortly. So I'm just going to go ahead. Now, as you can see, my seasoning has started to change color. So I'm going to start to add some of the vegetable. Well, all of them, really. I'm just going to go ahead and oh, I'm sorry about the arm again today. I seem to be doing that lately. So I've gone ahead and added the vegetable, and now I'm just going to, before I add the tomatoes, I'm just going to coat all my vegetables with this delicious seasoning and let it soak up some of that flavor before I go ahead and add the tomatoes. So as you can see, everything is well coated, and the aroma in here is to die for. So I don't know if you know this story about the Three Sisters of the Iroquois. So the thing is, they didn't have much land to to grow their crops on. So they planted corn, and up the stalk of the corn grew the beans, which we will add right now. So the beans grew up, like thyme, grew up the corn stalk. And then the squash, which doesn't move around much, and grew around the base of the corn. So they, in that small little footprint of garden space, they got 3 crops. And look at how good those 3 crops look. Now I'm just going to go ahead and add the tomatoes. So I've got a little bit less than a complete can of tomatoes. So I'm just going to pop that in here. And give it a good stir. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so good. Oh, look at this. If this isn't a fall dish, I mean, my mom made this for us every fall. 3 Sisters of the Iroquois, so it's either soup or stew, depending on how thick you make it. Now I'm just going to add to that, I'm just going to put half of the can of water. And the reason I'm only using half is because a lot of these squashes, when they start to cook down, are going to give off a lot of juice. Are going to create a lot of juice as well. So all I want to do, I might add a little bit more because I do want it to be over the vegetables, just so they have a lot of room to cook and they're not too crowded in there. And there we have it. That's it. I'm going to pop the lid on and we're going to leave this be until we're ready to add the final Epicure ingredient, which will be the vegetable broth. And we might not even use very much of that, but here it is. 3 Sisters of the Iroquois, or 3 Sisters soup or stew, depending on how thick you want to make it. You can use any kind of beans. Today I used black beans, and you can use canned corn, frozen corn. I happen to have an ear of corn in the fridge, so I cut it into bite-sized pieces, and there we have it. Not complicated. A couple of squash, some beans. Oh, I put some carrots in too, just for the fun of it, because I have 3 carrots left in the fridge. Well, now 2. So there we go. We'll see you in a bit. Here we go. Time to take a peek. Oh, look at this. So everything's cooking down just perfectly. And yes, there are a lot of flavors in here already. Now, I didn't use a broth. I just used water. But to turn my water into broth, Epicure has amazing broth seasoning. Now, I don't know if you see all of the vegetables and herbs and spices in here, but I wanted to turn this delicious 3 Sisters of the Iroquois soup, and I just added some of the vegetable broth. Now, I know most of you are out there who have been watching my recipes say, Oh, Gigi usually adds sugar when she cooks with tomatoes. But there are so many sugars already, natural sugars, in every one of these vegetables. That means the corn, the 2 different squashes, and the carrots already give a lot of sugar, especially when they cook. They even produce more sugars. So I'm not going to be adding sugar to this soup. So all I've done was I've gone ahead and added some of the vegetable broth to turn my water into broth, and I'm going to let it simmer some more, and we'll see you soon. Well, here we are, the end result. Look at this. I went ahead and added some meat. I had a couple of German sausage in the fridge, but look at this beautiful dish. I can't wait to dive in. The beans are just perfect. The corn is cooked. So are the squash. We have a nice jus, and we're going to dive in. So we'll see you at the table. And I just wanted to share, some of you might have looked at some of the spices I used. Well, these are all return spices that will be in the catalog that's being launched on the 3rd of October. So a couple of days away, and you'll have access to all of these dishes, delicious returning. And this, of course, another seasoning that's back. And our, well, in this cabin, it's our pantry must-have staple. So we'll see you at the table. Well, here I am, 3 sisters of the Iroquois. We have butternut squash, we have acorn squash, we have some delicious black beans, we have some corn. There's our 3 sisters, the corn, the beans, and the squash. And then I went ahead and added some German sausage. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you give this delicious meal a try, or at least something similar. Thanks a bunch. Bye.